BCSN.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
They can follow their dreams.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
they can follow their dreams.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
A pleasant good morning to everyone. And yes, I said morning here on the Coach Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network. We're on from 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to 11 a.m. on this special edition of the Coach Brown Show because the Celebration Bowl starts on ABC Network at 11 a.m. So we'll get a chance to do this. Then we'll get a chance to watch the Celebration Bowl. Joining me as special guest co-host, and I can't thank him enough, Coach Robert Valdez, former Southern University offensive lineman, now the head football coach at St. James High School. Coach Valdez, good morning to you, and thank you, sir, for guest co-hosting.
Oh, man, good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. It's, like I said, good day. We're wrapped up in high school, so we all in Christmas spirit and getting ready to watch these bowl games.
Yeah, that's right. This time, what, next week? Is it Christmas? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have an announcement about this week of whether we'll take that Saturday off. You know, I don't like taking shows off, but only on special occasions. And I guess that is, happy holiday for everyone. So we'll make an announcement during the upcoming week. Let me tell you about the guest menu. Of course, you see Coach Robert Valdez joining me for the show. Brandon B.J. Jones of Inside HBCU Football. We'll get his perspective. He's in Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl coming up at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. He'll join me. And then in hour number 2, joining us on the show will be the 20th head football coach of the Southern University football program, Coach Eric Dooley. He'll join us at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Also, we'll try to get some of your comments. We appreciate everyone who's tuning in, watching. We definitely appreciate it. Well, Coach Valdez, we'll mix it up right quick. Of course, Coach Dooley's coming on, the new Southern University football coach. But some news that happened during the week. One being Jordan Lewis decided to move on through social media. He made the announcement that the Jaguar Nation, the Southern University system, Southern University, but he has 1 year eligibility left. And boy, my phone was just blowing up. I was at work, and I happened to look. That was the news. What are your thoughts on Jordan Lewis entering the transfer portal?
I think that is just symbolic of the times, really, to be honest with you. These kids nowadays, they sometimes they get advised by others, and sometimes they make decisions on thinking that there's going to be greener pastures somewhere else. Definitely is a big loss to the university, a big loss to the football team, a guy that, when healthy, can produce at a high level, and is a very, very special player. Probably, and then the significance of how you carry the locker room also takes place, because a lot of guys look up to the guys that are the playmakers, impact players. So therefore, wish him the best as always. But I think that with the portal and whatnot, you never know what he believes, or the people that basically are advisors them believe that may be better for him somewhere else. But definitely it's going to be impactful for, especially, the defense at Southern and Coach Dooley coming in.
Yeah, and of course, in the spring, he won the Buck Buchanan Award as FCS Best Defensive Player during the spring, and he had just completed his junior season at Southern. He has 1 year of eligibility. And this season, I think it was kind of, in just my opinion, I think it was hard for him and a lot of players, but specifically, we're talking about Jordan Lewis.
Right.
Injuries in and out. And sometimes, I've had an injury, but it's not football related. And
right.
I'm much older than Jordan Lewis, but sometimes mentally that's tough for a player. And it just seems like the fall season was one of those seasons when he's healthy, he was able to produce, but not at the high level during the spring and then throughout his career. Do you think, Coach, maybe the injuries, and if you're not used to having an injury and you've been there your whole career, does that kind of affect the psyche, the mental approach of the player?
It does. I mean, also, yeah, he I guess should have understood or knew coming in after the accolades that he had in the spring that he was going to be highlighted and identified as a person that they needed, that the other opposing offense had to block, had to contain, had to double, had to chip, had to make sure that he was blocked. We always say that, that guy won't beat us. That means that he's going to be put precedence on how he's handled. So therefore, I saw him a lot. A lot of teams made sure that they understood, where he was, and played through injuries, and then you're playing through injuries, and you're trying to reach all these lofty goals and accolades that you reached in spring. So yeah, the pressure, all those things coupled, can really take away from your performance and whatnot. And I think that, I think maybe sometimes you just feel like you just, wanted a fresh start and maybe somewhere else, and looking at whatever it is that maybe can help him develop into an NFL prospect.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about him being Jordan Lewis, some people thought, well, maybe, Coach Rosen may kind of change their defensive scheme, but, to make it to the next level, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he'll have to play at the linebacker position. At Southern, he was a rush specialist, and even though he, put on some weight, man, on the next level, you got defensive ends, 260, 270, that run. I mean, they can run. There's like freight trains collision. So for those who say, well, maybe it's because of the schematic change that Coach Rollins them did, I think it's more so frustration, being injured. And then, as you pointed out, Coach Valdez, now the spotlight was on you. I'm sure he had somebody, offensive lineman keeping somebody in to know exactly where Jordan Lewis was on the football field. So frustration and injuries as I wrap up that part. But Coach, on the next level, he will, if he makes it, he'll have to play linebacker, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a weak side 3-4 linebacker. I think that I guess his style, his size, his athletic ability does not fit a hand-down defensive end in a 4-3 scheme. I think that we did that with him because he provided such of a pass rush and it was so effective. But if you look at him, if you're a 3-4 team and you're looking for that, basically that we call it the buck, that guy that can rush off the edge and drop in coverage and take care of the flats and stuff like that. He definitely will fit the system like that.
Hopefully, to a team that can use that athletic ability, and I'm sure. And again, I wish him the best.
Right.
You're disappointed, but that's all you can be. Hey, Jordan Lewis has to do what's best for him, so we wish him the best. Coach, JSU signs a big-time national recruit. And once again, my phone was blowing up. And it was someone that, hey, they flipped him from Florida State, Mr. Hunter. And just going on social media, social media, you have to utilize it, but, man, you have to be careful. Some people show their true colors.
Right.
All of the comments that I've seen, and it was historic. And look, hey, congratulations to Jackson State and Coach Sanders and their staff. They were able to pull that off, but now it just seems like they've upset the Power 5 programs. Not only Florida State, but others, because this was historic that what happened. What do you think about all of this?
Well, beyond Southern, I'm a big Florida State fan after Southern University, but I'll tell you, it really it upset me a lot, because I always feel that it's like everything else, you have to shoot your shot. And I think what Coach Sanders did, and I applaud him for that. And I'm so happy that this young man decided to be a trendsetter and change course and choose an HBCU, is that, more oftentimes, in high school, I've seen it before. Some coaches don't believe they have a shot at certain kids. And so therefore they don't want to invest resources into recruiting kids that they don't believe they're going to be able to get. And this is a perfect example that you got to recruit everybody and you got to take a shot. And I think that this is amazing. And at these schools now, you have to understand, you have to do research. When all the way back when Coach Robinson at Grambling, was producing all these top tier quality athletes into the NFL because they didn't have nowhere else to go. They weren't going nowhere else, so they were going to Southern, they were going to Grambling, they were going to all these HBCUs, and they were very, very good. They were skilled, they were fast, they were athletic, and they had knowledge and recognition of the game because they couldn't go to a PWI, so to speak. And then when those athletes started coming, they were trendsetters, and they opened up the doors for other athletes, and then your quality of your programs improved. And then when you start improving your program, your marketability improved. You start getting more people in the stands, you get TV contracts and all of that. So they're upset because of the impact that this may make, is that now it may make a Jackson State into a financial threat into the market, into the media market, into other markets, and it will allow to other kids to see that I can do it too. I can go to Jackson. And education is an education. I don't believe that there's no better education at Florida State than there is at Jackson State. I mean, 2 + 2 is still 4. So therefore, and given the resources, given the financial backing that will come with playing and getting these TV contracts and these conference contracts, then, they're afraid that the field might start leveling a little bit.
Interesting, because the system is set up for them.
Correct.
And now that someone is, and you've seen, and we're going to get into more about the transfer portal. We'll ask Coach Dooley about that and the junior college ranks. But to kind of piggyback off of what you just talked about, now the question has to be asked, will HBCU see more success in football recruiting, especially those type of players going forward? Coach Valdez.
I believe so. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's a copycat society in athletics and coaching. I mean, so therefore, if we see an offense that's trendy, that's doing good, we're going to try to use it, a defense and whatnot. Now this becomes a recruiting philosophy where, most coaches are going to be like, okay, you know what? Let's take a shot. Let's really, recruit this guy, this 4-star, this 5-star, and instead of just saying, man, he may not fall to me because LSU, Florida, Nebraska, all these people are recruiting them or not. So therefore, we in the high school ranks tell our, and then the high school coaches got to do a better job too, because high school coaches have to do a better job of facilitating those kids to all schools. Because sometimes, you hear coaches tell you that they go to certain schools and they're getting only a list of guys. But then, depending on who they are, is the list of guys that they're getting. They may not be getting the top tier guys and would not know. Put the list out and let the coaches decide who they want to recruit and what fits their board. So I do think that I hope that this really does become a trend that all HBCUs, because they have a lot of history, a lot of great education, and a lot of great alumni to be able to use as an example of why their institutions is worthy of you being there.
That's interesting. As I watched the press conference from Mr. Preston at your school, and I looked, I saw the different hats, like some of the athletes now do, although I'm old school, I remember where, hey, you just make an announcement in the library, sometimes at your local religious establishment. I've seen some on Sundays, but hey, that's the trend now. But I did notice, so the university hat was almost dead center. But at least it was considered, and some people commented, well, at least that was a consideration. But to your point, I think the trend will contend. It will continue. When you look at, JUCO and Southern, by the way of social media, they hadn't released their official list of players that have signed, according to Coach Dooley, and we'll ask them about it. It'll be 5 to 6. Supposedly they're going to release it today, but you see student athletes on Twitter showing where they've committed, and Southern has gotten some based on those players making it public. But Alabama A&M, they've done well. Alabama State, Southern. So I think the trend will continue, and I think you'll start getting those 4, 3 stars. Occasionally, you're going to get some 5 stars. And a lot of people ask me about the evaluation of that. How do you determine a 3-star, 4, and the 5? Now, I've talked to former coaches, and they've kind of explained to me what it means. But what is Coach Valdez? Because you know about it. What's the big difference?
Well, I mean, of course, you got the intangibles that must be in place. Physical attributes are first. There's no measuring stick that is unvaluable as size and speed. So therefore, the biggest thing that people are looking for, they're looking for size and speed. You figure if you can find size and speed, you can coach them to do whatever your scheme is. So if a kid is athletically gifted, has tremendous size, tremendous speed, skill set, and whatnot. And really, these kids pretty much get these stars and these rankings at these camps when they go to these, they do these camps, and then they kind of get a following. They start getting a following, and these people that are working these recruiting sites, these recruiting gurus and whatnot, when they start tracking kids and they start seeing kids at different events and gathering information on 40 shuttle runs, height, weight, and then of course you have to be able to produce. Your film has to be able to have tremendous quality, so you have to be able to be producing at a high level at your high school. And if all those things match, then therefore you start moving up the rankings and whatnot. And the biggest thing about it, and like I said, I have no quarrels in saying what I have to say, is that when these big schools start recruiting you, then those rankings start becoming justifiable, because they want to make sure that their alumni sees that they got a 4 or 5 star ranking or not. So as soon as one of these Power Fives give you an offer, then all of a sudden I've seen kids all of a sudden just balloon up and just start collecting on these stars and whatnot. And then that's, you have some that live up to all the billing when they get to high school, and then you have some that pretty much weren't as, as productive as people thought according to their rankings.
I could see, quote unquote, 1-star, 2-star, but what about getting those? Okay, we'll use 1-star and 2-stars, get them into the program. They make the adjustment from high school, now they're in college, and they end up putting up tremendous numbers and getting that degree in hand. I always use the example about Dalton Hilliard, Gary James. Dalton Hilliard from Patterson High School, smaller classification at the time. Gary James came in, West Jefferson High School in Gretna, New Orleans, Louisiana. But Dalton Hilliard had the better collegiate record, collegiate status, and went on to the NFL, played with the New Orleans Saints. So I said all that to say this, Coach. I understand the explanation, but on the FCS level and the HBCU level, to me, I'm just as excited if you get, quote unquote, the lower stars, but they're able to produce and they matriculate through their career, get that degree in hand, and they're a better player from their freshman year to the senior year. I guess I'm just old school for that.
No, you're right. You're right, because the bulk of your roster is going to be 1 or 2 stars, and that's going to be the majority of your players. That's going to be your core. So like I said, yeah, it's good to have the recognition of those guys and whatnot. But even in the NFL, the majority of the guys in the NFL are not first-round draft picks. That on those rosters, those guys are those 3 to 6 round guys that, are good football players that may have not had all of the, hoopla and the media and all of the resources to be exposed. So, no, you're totally right on that.
And speaking of that, and what will help, and we're going to take a time out, but, Coach, I pulled up the article, and I had talked about it just a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but Southern, if they're able to accomplish this stadium expansion, practice facility, and more, Southern master plan includes $80 million in sports project. So after this timeout, I'm gonna talk about the athletic piece that they're trying to do, and that can only help if you can get this plan done. It's a game changer, and we'll talk about that after this timeout. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll return after this timeout.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Your ad could be ran here. myjbn.com/support. myjbn.com/support for more information.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Coles Brown, joined by Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James, a powerhouse, at least in my humble opinion. Coach, you guys had success in the Louisiana high school ranks quickly. Next year, it's always a year-round thing. It's no really downtime. Expectations high for next year?
Yes, they are. I mean, that's the good thing. You always want to be in a program that has those type of expectations. Matter of fact, I was just tweeting my quarterback last night, like, hey man, listen, get ready to start working. We do your own thing, and then we'll start in January. But yeah, I'm excited about what we have coming back. We only lost one offensive lineman. We have all our linemen coming back. Of course, losing the guys, like Alec Mahler, the kicker, Shaz Preston, and Daniel Jupiter, and a lot of other guys in the program that was so successful. But the cupboard is not bare at St. James High School, so we'll be back.
Folks, for those tuning in that may be outside the state of Louisiana, it's what you affectionately call the river parish, parishes. And we don't have counties here. We have parishes. Go ahead, Coach.
The Fertile Crescent, we like to call it the Fertile Crescent. If you're along this river, man, you got to bring it, because everybody's got really, really great programs, and it's really good football. We're very prideful of our region, but the River Parish football, we believe, is second to none in the state of Louisiana.
Boy, tomorrow I'm traveling to another part of the state, North Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana. Wow, that's it's in the same state, but it's totally different, Coach. I'll just leave it at that. South Louisiana is, if it was a bigger state and more population, you could almost be like the Carolinas. South Louisiana, North Louisiana, they're individual states, but let me stop here.
Gotcha.
If you're from Louisiana, you'll know what I mean. Southern expansion, practice facilities, more. Southern's master plan includes $80 million in sports projects, an indoor football practice facility, and expansion of A.W. Mumford Stadium, a part of the master plan approved by the Southern University Board of Supervisors. The overall plan for the university would include facility expansion, renovations, construction, and improvements to infrastructure. Estimated cost of the master plan is just short of $800 million, with $80 million estimated for the athletic improvements. Now, this master plan was approved in 2019. Details and renderings were released earlier this month. The most significant athletic improvement would be an indoor football practice facility adjacent to Mumford on what is now the Jaguars practice field. I have some memories I could share about the Jaguars practice field. Mostly good. with a price tag of about $30 million. Okay. Additionally, proposed is $9 million improvements to the stadium to enclose the south end with offices, suites, and additional seats. Coach, I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
The improvements would increase capacity about 7,500. So capacity now is like 28,500. Then you're looking at 7,000, 36,000.
Yeah.
Nice with the expansion and included. With that, also will be expanded the weight room inside the field house on the north end of the stadium, according to Coach Banks. I'll stop right there, Coach. That's a game changer. And you've got to always improve your facilities to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of college athletics.
You just got to keep up with the Joneses. And I think that there's an aggressive stance and very, very positive movement, upper mobility for Southern University. And I'm excited about it because, like I said, nowadays, when you take these kids on these tours of these colleges, they want to see your facilities. They want to see what it is that you have in place that's going to allow me to, develop myself and be able to be, a prospect at the next level. So when you have an indoor facility, then therefore there's no reason to worry about inclement weather. You can pretty much stick to your routines. You can do what needs to get done. And then of course, weight room, everybody's getting stronger, bigger, faster. And then it is exciting. It's just completely exciting, not only just for the athletic facilities, but for the whole university to be able to get, just an uplift. And so that's going to be major in terms of recruiting and retention, because of you got to do these things to be able to keep up.
Yeah, and Coach Banks has stated that we've got companies willing to donate. We've got to get to those bottom line dollars. They have commitments, but we don't need pledges. He says we need the money. When we start getting those in, we'll come up with a plan of action of how we're going to make it work. And he also says the indoor facility would be phase one. If I have my way. No other SWAC football program has an on-campus practice facility. I know Tennessee State has an indoor practice facility. I can't think of anybody else. But he says the indoor facility and other new constructions will take out hundreds of parking spots, which will necessitate the construction of at least 2 parking garages, one with 2,000 spaces near the athletic center and another with 600 spaces near the law school. So a parking garage also is in the plan. And Coach Banks says that they've got some of the money to start off already. So again, Coach, that's a game changer to me.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, I think that anybody knows Southern knows that parking is very, very, can be tricky sometimes. But no, I just think that when you have growth, you have to be able to grow around what you have. And I think that when you put that indoor facility there, then getting the 2 parking garages is going to be big. And like I said, it's just a commitment. There's a commitment, and it's just exciting to see that the talks are in the process of becoming, fruition. So therefore, I commend Coach Banks and the board being able to have the forward thinking to put this master plan out and be able to start chipping away at getting it done.
Yeah, and I guess their last major project was the 4,200 square foot baseball clubhouse behind Lee Hines Field, built in 2015 for $1.1 million. But the overall master plan includes new student union building, additional housing for students on and off campus, plus street improvements, raised crosswalks, bike paths, and landscaping. So the majority is going to be over on the campus, but we just kind of spotlighted the athletic piece. But they can get that done. And there's going to be a lot of happy people. Coach, yes. We'll switch now. Celebration Bowl coming up. Waiting on BJ Jones of Inside HBCU Football. He's scheduled to join us. But the MEAC has had a lot of success in that bowl game. This will be and we exclude the pandemic, but I'm course, not going to make this one. Be the first one I miss. It's always an exciting time, you know, in Atlanta. North Carolina A&T had much success in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And SWAC only one victory in the Celebration Bowl, and that was Grambling State against North Carolina Central 10-9. With that being said, Jackson State and South Carolina State, we're going to get a prediction from you, but what do you look to see in this ball game at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time between Jackson State and South Carolina State?
I mean, you're probably going to just see a couple of teams that are going to try to fill themselves out in the beginning. Of course, not too familiar with them. South Carolina State coming in undefeated in conference, and I think they're 6-5. So they pretty much played a tough schedule and did well. And of course, Jackson State. Jackson State has a lot of steam behind them. You know, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of things that Coach Prime has working for him. But I've seen that defense for Jackson State. I haven't had a chance to study much film on South Carolina State, but man, if they can't block them, they're not going to stop. You know what I'm saying? They're very aggressive, and their defense approach as to how they play defense, and they have size, they have speed, they can play you man to man, they can put pressure on you, and they can just basically rattle you. So there's a lot to be said about Jackson's offense, but I think that it's just their defense right now that pretty much puts them in that makes them a serious threat. And then their special teams is pretty good. So yeah, regionally biased, I would say. I would think that Jackson State would pull it off, and not really being able to study South Carolina State and seeing much game film on them. But I do know that the competition they play in the conference, they don't play as fast as football. They're a bit more physical. They're very physical in that conference. So and I think that it'll be interesting to see if their physical style of play matches against Jackson's athletic, aggressive defense.
And it's interesting. From a historical standpoint, traditional standpoint, Coach Pugh, Buddy Pugh. Defensively, they were always solid. I go back with the SWAC MEAC Challenge in A.W. Mumford Stadium, Southern and South Carolina State. What was the defensive end / linebacker that's now with Indianapolis Colts? He had a monster game. That was one of the highest paid. I think he's the highest paid linebacker in the league. But traditionally, they have been solid defensively. Now, offensively, they were generic. I'll use that term. I could have used another.
Right.
Generic. And they've kind of changed a little bit. They're still, I don't think they're as strong defensively, but offensively, they've tried to improve. And the point that you made, Jackson State defense, I think Coach Sanders says if they hold anybody to 17 points or under, they're going to win. And defensively, Jackson State gets after you. And they're going to come after South Carolina State. When you have a defense that dominant, offensively, all you got to do is just manage the game. I think Jackson State's defense is going to be the difference. They have been consistent. Coach Thurman has done a great job leading that defense. And for South Carolina State, if they get behind, I think it's going to be tough for them. Offensively, I don't think they're capable. Yeah, they put up a lot of points against Alabama A&M, but then Alabama A&M defense needs a lot of work based on what they were trying to do and just the kids that they've got committed or signed for next season. Defense is not their strong point, but I like Jackson State in this ball game. And also Jackson State, I think what they're going to have to work on going forward is still, and we saw a little bit of success in the SWAC championship game, they can get the running game and get it consistently going. They're going to be even more dangerous going forward. But I like them in this ball game against South Carolina State.
Yeah, I think that would complement. If Jackson State can run the ball, it would complement their aggressive defense because, I mean, it would put more pressure on the opposing offense to try to score because it'll totally limit their time and possessions if you can really do a good job running the ball.
And Coach, you brought up a point. We've discussed it on the show before, but the styles of play, the MEAC, of course, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, now in the SWAC, but they were very physical. North Carolina A&T, physical, and they like to run the ball. But when you look at the Southwest Athletic Conference, more athletic as teams, faster,
right?
And I think that is the reason why that they hold the edge, 4-1 Celebration Bowl, and Jackson State meets that physical, especially on defense.
Right.
They meet that criteria. So the styles of play is important. And I think Jackson State meets that. And that's why one of the other reasons I think they'll be successful. It's interesting, though, from a geographic standpoint, you have different styles.
Yeah. It just so happens, like I said, that's how it is. I mean, we're just based on speed. Our game is a little bit faster, athletic game. And, you look at those North Carolina NT teams, man, I watched those guys play, man, they were downhill. They were downhill. They were downhill. They were coming after you. And that's just kind of, that's how they play football. And that style of physicality and, aggressive running and those things like that, it can catch up to you. That's not what you see every day, and even in practice.
And on that point, let's turn it around. And we're talking to Coach Dooley in the next hour, top of the hour. We kind of know what Coach Dooley likes to place on the field. You're going to see balance. If we look at Prairie View A&M last year, balanced team, I'm talking offensively. And I think it'll be the same with Coach Dooley. He's going to put that blueprint at Southern University. Mm-hmm. To me, Coach, I think just being balanced, that to me, that's the trend. That's the best going forward. Because if you're one-dimensional, unless you have an outstanding defense, you're just asking for trouble. But how important is it from an offensive philosophy, being balanced?
Well, I think that, like I always say, you teach what you know and you teach what you're comfortable with. And I think that every coach, every head coach, the philosophy for their team is basically going to match their background, their pedigree. And I think, like Coach Dooley's a quarterback guy, receiver guy, and he's real good at that. He's been very, very successful at that. Yeah, but in order to be able to, have some rhythm and consistency run the ball is very important. And it's in a conference that, is so athletic and has so many athletes, you have to be able to have some type of balance because, the playmakers can just make plays on an instant. So sometimes you have to slow the game down a little bit and deflate the air out of the crowd and tone down the emotions. And I think that's what the running game does for you. Definitely. But you have the most important thing is you have to match your roster and the ability that you have on your roster. And, I think for Coach Dooley coming in, it's going to be important for him to identify what his roster would dictate basically the course of how aggressive he wants to be with his offense until he gets the people and the pieces that he needs in exactly to do what he wants.
Don Shula, I'll use him for example. I'm listening to him years ago in an interview. Every start of a new season, he says you got to know your personnel. And then you base your offense on your personnel. So you got to know it. Right. And let me ask Coach Dooley, and maybe he hadn't had a chance to do an extensive look at analysis of the roster, but I'm sure he's already identified the weak points and what they need. But how important is that? What a professional coach, God rest his soul, Don Shula, said every year he may add something to the playbook. He may take things out. It just dictates based on the personnel that he has coming back.
That's the major thing. I think that you can't make it a cookie cutter. Some people try to, but you have to be able to, if you have tall, lean guys on the offensive line, then yeah, you can pretty much block and pass protect, and be able to give your quarterback some time to throw the ball. If you have some thick ankle groundhogs, you just come off the ball and move bodies, and you run the ball. So your talent and what you have in the locker room is going to most of the time dictate your philosophy on how it is you're going to be offensively, and it does that. I think sometimes you also have to be able to, take yourself out of the equation and do what needs to be done based on what you have. So therefore, but you always, in the back of your mind, you know what you want. And then the beauty of college is that you can recruit what you want to be able to fit what you want and what you want to see. So therefore, I mean, you have to kind of, play the dozens with what you have in the beginning, but you also have to understand that, you got to go get what you need.
Right. And I'm willing to bet that Coach Dooley has looked, and if you look at Southern's foundation coming back, it's an offensive line. You start from there. And that is important. But most of the questions that I get, and just talking with different people, they're concerned about the points that they need to improve. Defensive line. And secondary. So I guess it starts in the trenches, O-line and then D-lines. But that's the assessment that Coach Dooley has made, and he'll govern himself accordingly with that. So, but the foundation, the strong points, the O-line, in my humble opinion, Coach.
You got to have a foundation. I think that you build a house from the ground up, and that offensive line, that your defensive line, the offensive line, it doesn't matter what you're going to run. You need blocking. If you're going to throw the ball, if you're going to run the ball, you need blocking. You need guys, like I said, and it's such a premium right now because getting good offensive linemen is scarce a little bit. That you got to really go find them, or you got to go the JUCO route or whatnot. But I think that I think Southern had a lot of success with their offensive linemen. If I'm not mistaken, only losing one maybe. The young man that's decided to go into the draft or whatnot. Then defensive linemen, I just think that they have to get bigger. I think that we didn't have the size of front or the girth of front to be able to sustain and get a push and and stop the run game and those things like that. Linebackers, well, but if you can take care of the box, if you can be solid and consistent in the box, and then everything else opens up.
But I've talked to a lot of people that said defensive linemen, wow, that's at a premium. The Power 5 schools have much success grabbing those. So the JUCO is a way to go. And I've just kind of been looking and seeing, and it looks like Coach Dooley has been there.
Right.
With the JUCO ranks, and then, of course, with the transfer portal. So you got to have that foundation to understand. And I think you have to mix and match. High school, getting high school student athletes coming program, you got to have that. But also you got to have quick puzzle pieces that you can put in. And that's the junior college route and the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the deal. You got to, coaches got to come in right now, guns blazing. And he's got to be able to continue that excitement from his hire with some guys that can come in right now and be able to contribute right now so we can win right now. And then you start working on your board, and then you start working on your numbers and your positions of what you need to maintain each year to be able to make sure that you're really not losing much, at the end of the season. So therefore, I think you're right. Bringing the guys that can play right now, but still be able to recruit the high school kids and be able to have those relations with the high school coaches is going to be very important.
Yeah, and I understand it, Coach. Expectations are high. What have you done for me lately? Got to come in, hitting the ground running, blazing, because you'll have a rabid fan base just after you. And there's not like back in the day, you had a 4 or 5 year grace period. You don't have that now. You really don't. And so I know how it is. And I'm also a fan as well and an alum of Southern University. And you have some that are just, okay, they got to wait and see attitude. I can understand that. But it's also so important. Again, we're going to talk about it again. You got to have the great fit. And what I'm afraid of, and this is just my opinion, Jackson State has had success. And that was their path. They chose to go that route. They've had success. That may not be a good fit for everybody else.
Right.
And you've got to have the situation where it's the best fit for you. Southern decided not to go that route. Grambling State has a high-profile guy. They decided to go that route. At the end of the day, though, you got to do what's best for you. And ultimately, you're going to have to produce.
Right, no doubt. And produce now.
Wow. Aren't you kind of glad you're still at the high school level? Is it that much pressure at the high school level? Tell me if I'm wrong about that.
Oh yeah, no, it's it is. It's still that this thing, we're in the instant gratification world right now. I mean, you can use your phone and get whatever information you need. No one is going to the library and going through the Dooley decimal system and reading encyclopedias anymore. We want it right now. And that's just how it's. High school is the same way. The expectations are for you to win. I mean, I'm blessed. I have a great administration. That the only thing they ask for us to do is make sure everything is justifiable and fair. That's what my people tell me. But we win, and I think that sometimes we spoil our fan base because we won so much that when you don't win 12 games, then they're like, "Oh, what's wrong? Something wrong. We got to fix this or whatnot." But yeah, it's trickled down to the high schools. It's really trickled down to the high school. But then the good thing about it is that you will want to be in a place that has that, because if you're in a place that nobody expects anything, then you're not doing anything at all.
Interesting. High school level. But I'm being facetious, but I understand. I really do. And I just see, again, my opinion, so much, and we congratulate them. Jackson State has done well, but I really believe you're going to have programs that are going to try to emulate that.
Oh, yeah.
And it may not be right for you. And I have, not all, but some, even some Southernites. It seems like they're more concerned about what Jackson State has done. And I understand because it's a big rivalry, right?
Right.
With Southern Jackson State. But let's focus on what Southern is doing. FAMU is going to be focusing on what FAMU can do. And then at the end of the day, we'll meet and see from a competitive standpoint, how do we do as far as wins or losses. And again, I still believe a coach, it's not about how you can get them into the NFL. That's not the number one priority, in my humble opinion, Coach. It is getting freshmen, building a foundation. They improve from their freshman year to the senior year. You put them in a position to get that paper, the degree. Correct. And then if they're able to get an opportunity at the next level. I'm saying the number one goal is not to have them, the only goal is to get them in the NFL. Very few people make it, student athletes.
The goal should be to graduate, get them to graduate, send them back home to their communities as polished, professional young men as possible with a college degree. And if they can do it in the classroom, then they'll do it on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL, it'll take care of itself.
Right.
But I don't know. It just seems like some are more focused on that. And we're HBCU conference. We play football in the FCS level. All of the sports, Division I. The resources, it's like comparing apples to oranges. But what you can do is your best and put those student athletes in a position to be successful after their athletic career. I know that sounds cliche and old-fashioned, but a foundation.
This is true.
Yeah.
But see, the hard part is that, there are so many other coaches, and especially in these Power Fives, these bigger schools that are, filtering these kids' minds with delusions of grandeur that they're going to allow them an opportunity to be marketable for NFL, that's what kids want to hear nowadays. And, that's why you have to be able to recruit the parents, and you have to be able to make sure that the parents understand that the main thing is to get them to graduate from college. And then if, God so says so, then, you'll have that 1% of chance of making it to the NFL.
Well, I can remember Coach Richardson when the mic is off, and he was talking about that. His job is to do what we've been talking about. It wasn't to say to get him to, per se, the NFL, albeit he played in the NFL. But hey, he got his degree. He was a better player from his freshman to his senior year. That's the most important. I just think a lot of programs, if they're not careful, they're going to find themselves out of the loop trying to follow what happened at Jackson State, which, again, I'm going to give credit. They're getting it done.
Right.
Be yourself. Find your proper plan to make it work. But then it goes back to, I guess, resources as well. Coach Dooley is coming up in a few minutes. If anybody sees Brandon B.J. Jones, he's probably trying to find a spot where he can connect with us. He's in Atlanta. I know it's supposed to be the largest Celebration Bowl, Coach Valdez, for his attendance-wise. And you've got 2 new teams, and that's just new blood, if I can say it that way. You had North Carolina A&T playing, North Carolina A&T and Alcorn in most of the matchups. But now you've got 2 new. The Tiger Nation, they're hyped. You got Coach Sanders, they're hyped. The Sonic Boom in the South, they're hyped.
And they're supposed to be, because like I said, they got a lot going on right now. They got a lot of steam going on. They're very, very excited about the direction of their program and the things that they're doing. And you're talking about, you just got the #1 recruit in the country. So yeah, no doubt. There's going to be a lot of energy there. I don't know. I'm a Southern Jaguar through and through, but I had a good time at the SWAC championship game amongst the Jackson State Nation. but yeah, it should be fun. And it should be really, really good to see a lot of people in the stadium.
I like to chop it up with Jackson State alums. And, I've often said their fan base and Southern are just alike. That's why it's so intense. And I've supported going to the Celebration Bowl. And that's another good thing. You'll see Encore Knights there. You'll see Grambling Knights there. You'll see people from Jackson State, even when they were not playing. And boy, I had a dream. No, not a dream. That the Celebration Bowl, Coach Odoms against Coach Dooley. Do you know how the excitement that would be? You think they have a record crowd now? I think it gets tough. Whenever Southern gets there, it don't matter who they play, but that was the dream. Yeah. It's Norfolk State and Coach Odoms and Coach Dooley at Southern University. Wow.
Your dream may come true real quick. It may happen real quick. That'll be great. I'll be there.
I will. And I don't know. I would probably have to have some bodyguards. The trouble I can get in, and I've always had great times in Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl. It's just outstanding. Well, Coach, for hour #1, we're done. We're going to take a quick timeout. When I come back, you should see on the screen Coach Valdez, myself, and the 20th head football coach at Southern University, Coach Eric Dooley. When we return, you're watching the Carlos Brown Show on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant. Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell your mama hungry.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. HBCUSports.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Welcome back to hour number 2, this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, right here on the Black College Sports Network. You know me, so I don't have to reintroduce myself. Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School, former Southern University offensive lineman. I love those O linemen and D linemen. I guess because I'm a big guy. But we have the 20th head football coach at Southern University, no stranger to the program, Coach Eric Dooley. Coach Dooley, good morning and congratulations. It's good to see you again.
Good morning. Likewise, it's good to be home.
Oh, yeah. Home is where the heart is. And so we're just going to have a conversation. We'll pretend like no one's watching us, but they are. But the excitement of becoming the 20th head football coach at Southern University, how exciting and how you feeling now being named the head football coach at Southern University?
Well, you know, to get the opportunity to come back to me, what I call the foundation, where I actually started at, there's really no words that can explain the excitement that I have for myself as well as my family. But just to, I guess I got to hit myself to realize that it's actually reality. But, you know, I always say, and I never will not say it, God is good and he always has a plan. So I'm very, very excited to be back, not worried about the different things as far as being the 20th head coach, because I know being the head coach at Southern University comes with expectations, and I'm up for the task. So I'm very, very excited about coming back home. And I get to be there while my daughter graduates. She's a senior this year.
Wow, the time flies. Coach, I remember seeing you at a Southern basketball game. I don't know if you remember, I was talking with my best friend and the horn blows in the car and we looked. I was like, hey, that's Coach Dooley. And even then, I always thought about it. What would it be like, Coach Dooley, coming back home and being the head football coach? And now it's here. Man, I think the Jaguar Nation is behind you, and you're going to hit the ground running. And that actually was going to be my next point. Hitting the ground running, expectations of having the job. Where are you at the point now? You've hit the ground running?
Yes, I had to, because we had an early signing period. But, you know, it's a little different now. I just think that the transfer portal has changed the game as the way you approach certain things. But I do believe in getting out to a start. Unfortunately, we haven't released the guys that we signed, but we were able to sign quite a few guys on Wednesday. But nevertheless, it's still some more work to be done. You still got the February signing, and I feel real good about what we need. You know, you have to make assessment. You just can't go out and sign guys because of it's that signing period. You got to see what the team needs, and I think I was able to do that prior to coming and understanding what needed to be done. You know, it comes now with a little bit more experience. You know, the first opportunity I got to become a head coach, my mindset was I got to go sign guys, not understanding that I needed to assess what I had already had, which wound up being a good deal because we did make some assessment, but a little differently. But now with, I would say 4 years of experience means a whole lot to me, and now I understand what is needed, and I think we're off to a great start.
How quickly do you make that assessment? You've had a chance to look at, of course, you played against Southern quite a few times in your career at Prairie View A&M College. What was the assessment of the Southern University's football team as you saw it last year as you come in being the head coach?
Well, the one thing you do know, they're going to compete for 60 minutes because of the pride factor and because of who they are. But I did see some places that needed to be filled, and that's from the scouting report. And I guess fortunate enough by being the head coach, I just didn't look at the defensive side. I looked at the whole team because of being the head coach, want to know what they're going to bring in all three phases. So I did have a chance. I guess I got an early start, not knowing what was going to come of it. But I did assess the team and knew what was needed, and that gave me a jump.
This was Coach Eric Dooley, new 20th head football coach at Southern University. Go ahead, Coach Valdez. I'm glad. I want to see you ask some questions, and I know now I can sit and learn something.
No, man, I always learn something every time. I keep a pen ready when I talk to Coach Dooley, man. But Coach, how valuable is it having so much familiarity with the SWAC and making a transition to Southern University, knowing the conference, knowing exactly what it is that the things that you need to be able to be successful and compete in this conference?
I think it's priceless because you know where you're getting into and you know what you have to go against. So, but I most importantly, I try to get what's needed for my program. And I think when I make that assessment, then, you're going to hear a lot of different things of what guys are doing. And that's what's needed at that program. But it may not be the same thing that's needed at the program where I'm at, Southern University. So just knowing the history of it, I'm not worried about what's taking place. I'm just trying to feel the immediate needs for us and then get some guys in that have some depth so that we're going to compete. That's no question. We will compete.
Right.
Very, very valuable.
Yes, sir. Coach Valdez, you remember we were talking on the show what we know of Coach Dooley, and we look at Prairie View and them under his tutelage, they're going to be balanced. And Coach, forgive me if I try to sound like a coach or be a coach that I'm not, but I love being, a team to be in balance. How important is that in your offensive philosophy?
I think it's very important because when you balance, you just can't take away your strength and then shut the team down. We still have some things that we can do offensively, just by nature being a wide receiver. Everybody think you're just going to throw the ball every down. I'm going to do whatever it takes to move the ball and get the ball in the end zone. And if that calls running the ball 50 times or passing the ball 50 times, so be it. But we're going to take advantage of what's there. But it's just wound up, ever since I had the opportunity and God blessed me to be an offensive coordinator, I've probably been one of the most balanced coordinators that's in this conference.
Valdez, hey, being balanced, we talked about it.
I think it's key. I mean, I think that when you come in, you have to have, from the ground up, and you have to be able to have success in your base plays and all that. So, I'm excited, Coach Dooley. I'm excited to see your creativity and the things that you bring to the table and the office excitement. But moving forward, I guess it's early. And, just getting there, what are some things that you really feel that you think that need to be priority in assessment as soon as possible?
Well, I always look at when I think about it, just building inside out. And what I mean by that, I got to take care of the O-line and the D-line. Just over these past years, I've come more to be on the defense side of the ball to make sure that we are very, very aggressive and very I guess now that term is to fruition right now, dog day D. That's what we got to have. So I'm trying to make sure that the interior line, because when I made an assessment of this conference, when I first got the opportunity to be a head coach, and I looked at several schools, they were winning because of the interior line on defense as well as offense. That you can get the skilled guys I mean, they come a dime a dozen, but to get those linemen that's going to be tough and physical and violent, what I say, that's what you have to have on your team. So that's the assessment that I'm making. I'm going through, going inside out to build those guys up so that we can do some things. I had a lot of defensive linemen, had some things that we have to assess as well, and also on the offensive line. Lost a guy that was, I wish I could have gotten here before he agreed and signed with the agent. The left tackle, that would have been very, very huge for me. But nevertheless, you can go out now. They have given it to us, the transfer portal, so you can go get a guy that's older. But I don't have a problem with going and get a high school guy, because when you evaluate those guys can play as well.
Is it about mixing and matching as far as transfer portal, junior college ranks, and high school?
I'm very, very careful when I say transfer portal, because, you know, because they're in the transfer portal don't mean they're a match for your team. And I don't say match, I say perfect match. I have to have a perfect match because that individual is coming from somewhere where he may have had a little situation. So now this has to be a perfect match to where he understands the dynamics of the program that he's coming to and what's going to be, what we're going to stand for. So I've been fortunate enough to the guys that I've gone after in the transfer portal to build relationships with them and understand who they are and to bring them to another level, I would say.
We have a lot of people watching. Troy says, ask Coach Dooley, will we see our quarterback under center sometimes? I don't know about that one, Coach. Go ahead and answer if you could.
You know, I have used quarterback up under the center. I've done it this past season. So it's football. We're going to cover every angle that we possibly can cover. I don't want to not prepare the young men to be ready for whatever comes their way. So I believe in sudden change. So though that is still football, yes, we will be up under the center. We will be in the shotgun. We will do multiple things. I'm a multiple formation type guy. So yes, you will see a lot of different formation that would put the quarterback up under the center.
Well, Coach, some people are saying we're waiting for those 6 or 7 recruits, and you did talk about the bulk of it maybe in February where you have your signing. Coaching staff, we hear a lot about that. I think you previously reported that the staff is, you have the staff, you just have to wait and follow the process before you can release them. But your staff, it's going to be a reflection of you or just what you like to have in the staff?
I believe in being able to work together. I believe in having great relationships, and that's what you look for. But to respond on the recruits, we did sign more than 6. Okay. So we released. I thought those was immediate needs on some areas, so that's why we signed those guys. Are not worried about what's going to take place and what's out there, because I mean, when you look at the transfer portal, anywhere from 50 to 100 enter every day. Yes, that's so. I mean, that's a work within itself. So we're definitely on that. But I think the staff got to have a lot of things in common. And then I think at the end of the day, it's not about me, but we got to have the same vision. They got to be able to understand my vision, what I'm trying to get accomplished. And the biggest thing is to build quality young men to be successful. I think when you do that, everything else is easy. I mean, that's what God has blessed us with, the ability to coach football, to hone these skills, to get them to the next level. So I think all that has to work in together. I think that some of the individuals that we may have to deal with, we got to be a family figure for them. You know, that's why my wife is always around. That's why my kids is always around, because they may not have been fortunate enough to have that. So at some point in time, I have to be that individual and let them understand it's not just about football. That is a key ingredient, but it's more than that. It's bigger than that. It's about life after football. I was told that you're going to be a former football player longer than you will be a football player.
Coach Dooley, I'm switch gears a little bit. I think a lot of people don't totally understand how has the transfer portal and the early signing period and the February signing period, JUCO and everything has totally changed the landscape of recruiting? I think that a lot of people that don't really understand from the outside looking in, as a head coach, how has that changed the landscape of recruiting?
Man, that has changed it tremendously, because right now you would be digging in, trying to get into high schools to get guys that can help fill your roster, that can help give you depth. Some guys you can evaluate that you feel can come in and compete immediately. But with the transfer portal, it's like having, I don't exactly use the word, but it's like almost free agency. Someone that you already played against, someone that you know, or you've been watching and they had the opportunity to play collegiate football. So it gives you that immediate need right now, to whereas you don't have to wait a year or two to have that development. They're already coming with development. Now they just got to understand your scheme. So I think it has changed it a whole lot. I think each coach have their own method as to how they go about using the transfer portal. I have mine. I'm very, 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 very cautious on some of the things to do, because you got to realize everyone that's in that transfer portal is not basically a scholarship player that have played. So I do research. So I don't just look up the transfer portal and see Robert Valdez and say, oh, let's go sign him. No, I do my homework. I got to do my due diligence to find out, what this guy like, what he's all about, where he's come from. And I'm not worried about looking for a perfect individual. That's not going to happen. I want to be able to individual to become a better person and be successful in this world today.
And to add on to what you're saying, Coach, how important is it to establish when you're selective about going to transfer portal? How important is it to develop relationships over your professional coaching career?
That's
huge. And do you rely on that?
You have to develop relationships. You got to be able to trust individuals. I can. Like I say, I look at the transfer portal and I do this and that, but I can go and recruit someone at Valdez School and feel comfortable. I just have to introduce myself because of the relationship he and I have had over the years, and it's a trust factor. So you understand that. So I think it's very, very important. I'm big on relationships. That's why I get into it and immediately I build a relationship with the parents. It's not hard to get a 18 or 19-year-old to do certain things. I mean, this is a materialistic world. It's not hard to do those type things. So I like to get into it with the parents and build that relationship to let them know who I am and what we're all about and what we're trying to establish within their young man, within the young men that they send to us. So relationships is huge. If you don't, without relationships, I think it's impossible.
Coach Eric Dooley, head football coach at Southern University. So I can drop the 20th, Coach Dooley, and just say the head football coach at Southern University, along with Coach Robert Valdez. Now, Coach, here is an interesting question. We've seen the impact of JSU signing a top tier, one of the number 2 ranked player in the country. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something, maybe a trend that we'll see, or will it still just go back to basically recruiting and getting the best fit for your program?
I think it's all about recruiting and getting the best fit for your program. I think I think Coach Sanders did a tremendous job of getting that young man to come to the university and understand that what HBCUs have to offer. So I think that was huge right there. But as far as what I'm going to do, that doesn't change my game plan. I thought I already had a game plan that was working for us, that's best fits us, and I'm never going to get outside of that. I understand of it. I trust it. The process been doing it for a long time, so I'm going to continue in doing what I'm doing. I have never not gone after the top athlete. You just got to. So that's not going to change. I don't care if I walk into a building and they say that he have XX University XS, he's a 5-star. Okay. Only thing he can tell me is yes or no. So I'm going to continue to recruit those guys and continue to talk to those guys, build a relationship. And then at the end of the day, if they're not coming to this university, I'm telling them what they need to do to be successful as a young man, because this is a different type of world.
Coach Valdez and Coach Dooley, when we're talking about this in hour number one, and a guy that you know very well, Coach Richardson, his job was to get student athletes in when they're freshmen to their senior year. They've improved, put them in a position to get that degree in hand, and then to go out and affect their community. It's not per se, and tell me if I'm wrong, guys. I can handle it. It's not a position to say, hey, the number one priority is to get that person to the next level. Am I off base?
I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think you want to get them to have that degree because that's something no one can take from them. But at the end of the day, you want to hone their skills to get. You play college football to try to go to the next level. You talk about being out in 98 to 105 degree temperature and banging against guys that are physical. So it's a reason why you do it to get to the next level. Unfortunately, everyone cannot. So you still want to hone their skills to give them that opportunity. But while they're doing it, the NCAA is not going to let you play football unless you matriculate it within your studies. And that's what we're all about. We want to make sure that young man get that degree because at the end of the day, they can take everything away from you. They cannot take that degree away from you.
Correct.
That's well stated. And Coach Valdez, I remember that. Have your cake and eat it too. You can do both.
Right.
But most importantly, that is the process. Get that degree. That will take you even further. Even if you make it to the next level and hey, your career is over, you can fall back on that degree.
And that goes hand in hand. And I think also the coaches, going back to what you were saying, Coach Dooley, with recruiting and being able to recruit everybody on the roster. I think that the coaches also have to do a better job of making sure that all those student athletes are accessible to all colleges. Sometimes I've heard it before, you walk into a building and you get a separate list. Oh man, take a look at these guys. No, I think that we all need to do a better job of, as high school coaches, of being able to present all of our athletes and then let the process take care of itself. I think that that's something that that it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, that's what was important that I got out of that signing with Jackson State and one thing, and I think that's the way to do it. A lot of times I've heard it from college coaches. They come through and be like, "Oh man, I got this list with 15, 17 names." Well, if you got 17 names on your roster, you should be undefeated. That you produce and all that. And I think that's like it is. So therefore, recruiting is going to be major. And I think, like I say, the great answer on how it's transcended and changed due to the portal and those things like that.
I think that's key. That takes you back to relationships. See, when you have a relationship, that individual is not going to just tell you certain players or give you like a list of 18 or give you this guy here that didn't do as well for them. But when you have it, now you can sit down and have that conversation. And they're going to tell you the truth. Like, this is XX, but he has some guys on him. But here, he's free, just like to the other colleges, to you as well. And I think I've been fortunate enough, I know in the Louisiana ranks, to have those relationships where I can go and sit in and get the same list. I would dare to name other universities, but get the same list that XX and X get. So it's not just up to me to be creative. How can I let this young man understand the strength and what this university can offer to make him to put him in that light and become a better person. Everybody want to hear, yeah, you're going to the NFL. That's not our job. Just like we come in to look for certain guys, that NFL scout come in to look for certain guys.
How important is it to have an administration that's going to back you? How important is that? Having that going forward.
That's the number one thing. You got to, everyone, you talk about coaches, you got to have the same vision. You got to have the same drive. And when you have that individual that's supporting you and backing you, that makes life a whole lot easier. And that's what I feel here at Southern University. I can just tell it's more than the excitement, just the love, just the welcoming back. And I know all that comes with a price, but to know that is there for you, I mean, that's priceless to me.
And if I could go back to Southern's homecoming, and although you've been away, you really haven't, if you understand what I'm saying, because Louisiana native, but to come through the stadium and getting ready to take on Southern University, how do you block out all the emotion? Because I always see Coach Dooley the same way. He looks intense, and he's going to be prepared more than X's and O's. How do you block out the emotion coming back for that game against Southern for the Southern's homecoming?
Because you tell your student athletes that. So of course they're looking to see your reaction. So right now that got to be a focal point for you to understand, and you know what the crowd is going to bring. So you got to be that person that understands that, hey, it doesn't matter about the stage. We just got to stand on it and do what we do. And that's what we pride ourselves on, not worried about who's there or what's going to take place. We just came out and played football for 60 minutes.
Coach Dooley, though, but I still think after the game and just seeing everybody, and you were still loved at that point. You can't share one emotional point with us.
Well, there's no doubt about it. After the game, for those 60 minutes, I'm locked in to do my job. But after the game, then we right back to being who we are. Of course, I go shake hands with a lot of individuals that have done a lot of great things for me while being here. So of course, I'm going to shake the hand. I'm never going to change. I never lost that relationship. I could have always came back here and talked to someone. I pride myself on always being able to return back to the job you left. If you do that, then you know you've done something there. So I'm not putting my coattail up, but I pride myself on having great relationships. I'm going to love you regardless of what. We're never going to agree on everything, but it doesn't matter about the situation. I'm going to love you because that's what I chose. I chose to be a God-fearing man. So how can I do certain things? And they talk about everybody. They talked about Jesus. So who am I?
Well said. And listening to that press conference, Coach Valdez with Coach Dooley, and the importance of relationship. If you don't get anything else out of this conversation we're having, it's relationships. I saw you talk with Coach Richardson as you got introduced, and how important being able to work and with Coach Richardson and Coach Eddie Robinson. I'm sure it made an impact on who you are today as a coach and a person.
And it has. I will say this here. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this here. Just recently, my father passed. He passed at 92 years old, and he was huge in my life because of the things that he did, the way that he worked. So just being able to pick up the phone and call him, even at 92, he gave me words of wisdom. But playing for Coach Robinson at that young age, you really don't know how it's going to shape and become a part of your life. But I've always paid attention to everything. So paying attention to some of the things that he did, the way he carried himself, it was a reflection on me once I got into coaching. And being able to work with Coach Richardson, I call myself blessed to be able to be coached by a legend and work with a legend. But Coach Richardson and I, even before my season would start, I would come down and have lunch with him and go back up to Texas just to keep, there it is again, relationships. You have to keep relationships with individuals. And I thought he did something huge for me to get me started, because I never wanted to coach in college football. Never. I just wanted to just help young men to try to get to college. But it worked out, and I thank him every time I see him.
Coach Valdez, you have a last follow-up question for Coach Dooley? Coach Dooley, we appreciate your time.
A little bit off of all the other serious stuff. I just want to know what color suits we wearing on when we travel. With, I got a little spoiled by seeing some of my former players, in the Panther Nation on travel days and all that. And I think that first class. And so I'm anxious to see what's the style going to look like on the travel, attire.
We're working on it. We're going to be in business. I believe every trip we take is a business trip. So in order for it to be a business trip, you got to dress up as you're going to business, taking care of business. So we will be. I was fortunate enough. I think he was probably one of the best players in this conference to land a guy out of St. James and Jason Dumas. That young man, I don't know about how tall he is, but I do know the hole don't open up that way. I know it opened up a different way, and he gets through it. That young man is extremely, he's a football player. But more than that, he's a great person. He's a great person. He works hard, and just a reflection. And that's what I'm saying about relationships. You don't land a Jason Dumas without knowing someone. It's impossible. You know, he's a small package, but when you open that package up, it speaks volumes. So, and hats off to what the job that Coach Valdez did with coaching him. This young man was ready when he stepped on campus. So that's huge. And that's what you look for. You look for guys that you guys have similar styles. So now the learning curve is not huge at all. That's what you look for. You heard Coach Valdez say, we always talk. We talk football. We talk a lot of football. He's saying my creative mind, but he have a creative mind as well. So we definitely learn off each other, and whatever we can use, we take it.
It's interesting. I got a chance to talk with him at SWAC Football Media Day, and great guy. He reminds me of another guy, my favorite defensive tackle from Southern University history. He was a guy that wasn't tall. I could look him. I actually a little taller. DeMarcus Miller, and the same inward drive and heart. No, it's not 6'4", but guess what? Can't block it.
Can't block it.
Testing the fortitude. Well, Coach, I was going to ask you about the Celebration Bowl, but I think I'm not going to ask you about that. But I will ask you this: when you have your opening football day at Southern University, and we're going to try to picture it in our mind, what will we see against? And I believe I was told it was Miles College, but whoever the opponent is, what will you see from a Coach Dooley's football team that has gone through fall camp and now it's game day? What will we see? Paint the memory for us.
It's going to be fast and physical. That's how we play. Fast and physical for 60 minutes. And that's what we're looking for in all three phases, not just offensively or defensively. It got to be the same thing on the special teams. I treat special teams as if it's offense or as if it's defense, because it's very, very important. It can change the game. So you're going to see a football team that's going to fight for 60 minutes, but we're going to play fast and physical. And that's one place you can be violent and nothing happens to you.
Last quick question. Someone wants to know about the trigger man competition at that position. It's open up.
It's competition at every position. I believe in that. I don't believe in going through fall camp and you name your starting quarterback, you name your starting offensive lineman. That competition is the whole season. You want it for the very opening date. That next week we start competition. So that don't mean you can lay down now and say, I have a job for the rest of the year. No, you don't. You had a job for the first game. Now it's up to you to just maintain it by what you do in practice. You have to practice like you're going to play. Saturday should be easy. The work comes within the week, but we will have competition at all positions.
Wow, you got to go to work. Just because your name, it reminds me of the instructor at Southern. You've got an A in this class, but whether you keep it or not, it's going to depend on you. Well, Coach Dooley, I appreciate the time. It's been an interesting conversation. I know you're still transitioning, so I thank you for allowing us to visit with you for about 20, 25 minutes. And if there's anything that, Coach Brown's show can do for you, all you got to do is drop a text or a call. We're there for you. And congratulations once again on becoming the new head football coach at Southern University. Welcome back home. Home is where the heart is.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited about what this new chapter start. I feel real good about what's going on. So now it's time to go to work. Just like you say, I've had the opportunity to talk to that guy that used that phrase, Coach Long. It's time to go to work. So, I do know that.
I remember him.
Yeah. We're ready. We're excited. I'm excited about it. But at some point, the excitement got to stop. We got to put it within those white lines, and that's what it's all about. So we're in motion to do those type things to get the ball rolling.
Well,
Coach,
enjoy. Oh, go ahead, Coach Valdez. I'm sorry.
Congratulations, man. And like I said, very, very excited for you and your family. And, and just let us know with the Louisiana Football Coach Association when you get ready to have us come around, man. It'll be exciting. Just and have the playbook ready. I got my notebook, so we'll talk.
But definitely, I will be giving you a call today.
All right, man. Thank you, man. Good job, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, Coach, and we'll talk again real soon. Once again, appreciate the time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out. I think we've been able to locate Brandon B.J. Jones. We've run a little late, but that's all right. Coach Valdez, we'll see if we can get him for 10 minutes. It's about 20 minutes away from the start of the Celebration Bowl. So let's take a quick time out. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show on the Black College Sports Network.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com.
Welcome back to this final segment of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. I'm joined by Coach Robert Valdez, guest co-host, and Coach, I'll have to give you an A+ on guest co-host, and I may have to offer you a contract to come on the show a little bit more often, but we'll work out those details. But if you're just tuning in, we visited with Coach Eric Dooley, a new head football coach at Southern University, the 20th head coach. And Coach Valdez, it was an interesting conversation. What kind of did you pick up from Coach Dooley as far as the conversation?
the big word, relationships. You know, relationships, and all across the board. Before he got to Southern, way before he got to Southern, and during his time of how he plans on maintaining those relationships, and then also his vision of how he's planning on building this team from the core, establishing a presence along the offensive defensive line. And like I said, that's like building a house on a solid concrete slab. I think that anything you put on top of that, it will be able to sustain.
Yeah, and the foundation, if it's cracked, buddy, or it's not constructed properly, you may not have problems right away, you may, but then you will have problems eventually. He talked about building relationships and how important it is, and his understanding, how he related to us about using those relationships even in the transfer portal.
Right.
You know, you've got to know, you have to be selective is what I got from him. And then you have to do your research. And once again, another word he used, a fit. Everything has to be a fit. Now, and he also talked about Coach Valdez, and he corrected me on that. I said 5 to 6, but apparently, and I guess the Southern University Sports Information Office is going to release it soon. Right. The second time he mentioned more than 6. So, you know, he didn't give a number, but did you get the feeling it was maybe close to a double digit, maybe 10 or something?
I feel that he's very confident in the number. I think that it might be something double digit because you know, I think when I start listening to the words used, it'd be a couple, but when he said more than 6, that may be double. And that's great. I mean, because that means that there's already assessment that has taken place and being able to identify some fits, just like we talked about. So, and definitely will help them. Because like I said, you have to understand the numbers still are not fixed because of graduation rates and retention. So therefore, it'll clear up a lot more in February to be able to see how much they have available to bring in.
And then, you know, the unfortunate side of, you know, when you transition from one staff to the other, I gave the example, and I'm going to use the word source, who basically said the way Coach Odoms, who was a former coach, constructed the scholarships. And I've talked to other people, and I basically asked him, what is the number that you put on, from your experience, being on a collegiate staff, say offensive lineman and defensive lineman? The number this individual gave me was, in most cases, from his understanding and from what he's seen, say, for example, offensive lineman, Coach Valdez, what you played. When he was coaching he was on the staff where he's at now, and when he's at Southern, they had like 12, maybe 13 offensive linemen on scholarship. Same on the defense. Southern under Coach Odoms had, in the numbers I were given on the offensive line, 18 linemen on scholarships, 17 on the defensive line. So you're looking at 6 and 5 over scholarship players. So with that being said, the unfortunate side is Coach Dooley's going to have to make an assessment. That may not be the philosophy he has, is what I'm saying, as far as on the line. And then you're going to probably have to make some tough decisions as far as who do you bring back, who do you keep, and then freeing up some of those scholarships that you can utilize them in areas of needs. Did that make sense with that, Coach?
No, that's true, and that basically exactly is what you're talking about, fits, because every coach and at that next level call it their recruiting board, and then you have to look at what you have and your needs and what do you prioritize. You know, if you got 18 linemen, that means you're going to be ground chucking, and you expect a lot of guys to get banged up. You know, and that means that you're going to be short in other areas. So you have to think, because what happens, it's like cutting a pie. How many times can you cut it? Are you allocating towards special teams? Are you allocating towards making sure that you have enough running backs, enough receivers, defensive backs? Do you know that the trenches are something that you have to pay attention to between the linemen, between linebackers, between effective running back, you know? think BJ is coming on, so we'd be right. I think he's on now.
Yeah, he's connecting because it's close to kickoff time in Atlanta, and as soon as we get him back up, we'll talk with him. We got about 10, 11 minutes, but that's important. What Coach Dooley was talking about. I mean, the fit. He's going to have to make. We didn't get into that aspect of making cuts, but those are kind of things that he's going to have to handle, in house. And so
right.
that's going to be important. And he also realized he got to hit the ground running. There's really no grace period, but I think he's identified the areas of need. And it's going to be interesting to see when that list is released. Then he also talked about his coaching staff. It's already in place. The great investigative guy I am, and just being nosy. I've kind of found out who it is, and but I'm not going. No, I'm not going to say. I'm going to wait till the official release. It's going to be one that's shocking, just to me. And I dropped a clue when I was talking about Mr. Dumas being at Prairie View, not tall in stature, but the way he played. And just think about my favorite. I think I better stop there. I may have given too much of a bigger clue. but Coach, high expectations. We're thinking the best for them. BJ, are you ready, sir?
Man, I'm ready to go, man. How you doing?
Okay, BJ. Good morning to you. I'm here, of course, Coach Valdez. We just finished speaking with Coach Dooley. Hey, in Atlanta, Celebration Bowl. Preview it for us. Who wins? What to look for? Give us something that maybe we don't realize that may happen.
And I think the biggest thing, South Carolina's receivers have to play big. They're large in stature, but oftentimes they don't play big. And I think they have to do that. They have to do that today in order for them to be successful. They can't turn the ball over. And when Jackson State is in those third and longs, which they find themselves in quite a bit, you can't allow Shedeur Sanders to scramble for 12 when it's a 3rd and 8 or a 3rd and 9, when you've done the job that you need to do on the back end as far as coverage. And you can't give Jackson State short fields. If Shedeur Sanders in that offense drives the ball down on the field with you, you can live with that. But what you can't live with turnovers and giving Jackson State a short field.
Coach Valdez, we talked about it during the show. Jackson State's defense, they've relied on that, and they have been consistent. Guys, can South Carolina State muster any productivity and success against this Jackson State defense?
If they are, Corey Fields is going to have his best game of the year. A young man that's around 49.4 completion percentage. That has to be up around 60-65%. In order for South Carolina State to be successful. One thing that he does have going for him, he can use his legs. And we've seen dual threat quarterbacks give this defense a little challenge. So if he can use his legs and be accurate, they can provide a little challenge. But they're going to have to block James Houston. If you remember, Carlos, when South Carolina State played Florida A&M, Isaiah Lane had 6 sacks in that ball game. If they can't block James Houston and he gets very familiar with Corey Fields, this game will be over with by halftime.
Interesting. Again, that Coach Valdez, go ahead.
I think that's better said than done. I watched that Jackson State Florida game at the SWAC Championship last week, and you're going to have to allocate extra bodies, and which will take away from your creativity in the pass game. I just don't think you can block him with 5, especially the way, man-to-man blocking may not be able to sustain him.
Well, and defensively, BJ, historically, South Carolina State, they're known for being very physical, having a tough defense. Will South Carolina State's defense have to play even better to have success against JSU's offense?
Absolutely. Got to get pressure up front. can't allow Jackson State. Can't allow Jackson State to run the football, make them one-dimensional, and then Jacoby Durant on the outside, one of the top corners in the country in the FCS division. He's a Sunday player. He has to have a big game. If he can take away Malachi Wideman and follows him across the field, that bodes well for South Carolina State. So that's going to be the key for the Bulldogs defensively.
All that being said, what's B.J. Jones' prediction about this football game today?
I think South Carolina State will keep it close, but then I think they pull away. Jackson State pulls away late. I think this is a 27-10 type ball game.
Oh, BJ, I didn't think it would be that close, but guess what? I'm going to trust your instincts. I'll trust your instincts, your analysis. You're the analyst, but I do have Jackson State winning. And then guess what? It's time to get ready for 2022. And guess what? You tell Charles Bishop, congratulations, Dr. Cavill and them, all of them. I'll see them in 2022. But I'll still have my eyes on them. And guess what? Jackson State.
Right here.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. I'll see you in 2022. I still go back to Southern had Jackson State. Oh, man. Coach Valdez, I don't know. I guess I'm letting the spirit get out of me.
No, I look forward. We Sharks don't have review mirrors. We're looking forward.
On that note, BJ, we appreciate it. I know we got to get ready to enjoy the game, but guess what? Full report, we'll say in 2 weeks, because next Saturday is Christmas.
Okay, looking forward to it, and good to be on Coach Valdez. My big brother will come down to Southern University football. So shout out to Coach Valdez, man. Those guys paved the way for us. So what you saw in the early 2000s, and they come off the backs of Coach Valdez and those guys. So, man, salute to my brother over there, Coach Valdez in St. James.
Thank you, BJ. You do a great job, man. Keep it up, man.
Thank you.
It looked like I saw Bishop behind you for a second. Tell him I'll be talking to him and tell Keisha Kelly, good work, appreciate it, and all the reporting from Atlanta. I shall return. Have a great weekend, BJ.
All right.
All right, that was BJ Jones live in Atlanta at the Celebration Bowl. Yep, Coach Valdez, I will return to the Celebration Bowl. It's been an interesting show. Of course, the highlight, of course, you being on guest co-host, and Coach Eric Dooley coming on and spending some time with us. And we'll go back to it again: building relationships, having a good fit, doing your research if you go into the transfer portal, all of those things. And I think, just in my humble opinion, I think Coach Dooley will be successful. And I think you'll see offensively an offense that you're accustomed to seeing in the past. An offense that's going to be balanced. Defensively, they're going to be aggressive. Hey, they're going to take their shots. And I always say this, Coach Valdez, if you're going to get beat defensively, at least get beat being aggressive. You know, nothing burns me up more than seeing you rush a 3, drop an 8 in coverage. It's 3rd and long. And long means 3rd, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can't get off the field defensively. That burns me up.
It's frustrating. What burns me up is if it's a deep pass, take the 15-yard pass interference rather than give up the touchdown or anything over 15, 20 yards. Just go on, just take it, and then we'll live to play another day.
I closed my eyes for a second because I had to meditate and calm down. Those are just one of the things that happen. But, hey, coaches are paid big time. And, of course, Coach Dooley, a 4-year contract with an option, mutual option for the 5th year. So Southern has upped it up, a base salary of $310,000 for those 4 years. We don't know about incentives and whatever, but it's not so much about the money. The administration has committed to providing more resources. We talked about the athletic projects and the overall campus-wide projects that They're hoping to start very, soon and getting those monies in place. Some are already there, but the athletic piece, parking garage, closing in the south end zone with suites and offices, and a 7,500 expansion on the A.W. Mumford Stadium, Pete Richardson Field, which will put 36,000. That's a good number, but to do all of that, you got to be winning. And Coach Dooley has been tasked with doing that, Coach Valdez.
I think he'll do well. I think there's a lot of excitement. I think that, once you get everybody rowing the boat in the same direction, I think that success will come. And I think that there's a vision in place. Now the task is to carry out and make it a mission.
Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure having you on. We're going to talk with you again, at least in your somewhat downtime, but I know football is an all-year deal, even on the high school level. But appreciate you, guest co-hosting, and you and your family continue to be safe, and happy holidays next Saturday. I'm going to get ready to watch a little bit of this Celebration Bowl with my favorite beverage. Hey, I won't give you the name of it, but I'm going to sit back and be a fan.
All right, my brother. Happy holidays. Thank you for having me.
Until next time, and we'll have an announcement on social media. Next Saturday is Christmas. So more than likely, we'll see you in 2 weeks. But again, check social media, Coles Brown Show on Facebook, Coles Brown on Twitter, and Coles Brown Show on Instagram. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.